Our third album is Carving the Stone by For Those I Love. And this was your pick, Carl. So you kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, David Balfe very quickly becoming one of my favorite artists of recent times. That self-titled debut, honestly, one of the most impactful records I think I've ever heard. The first time, but then every time I play that album, just hearing him recall this friendship and their memories together, obviously the whole thing wrapped up in this unimaginable grief. But at the same time, the album feels like a celebration. For me, it's just everything I want music to be. It's emotional, it's beautifully written, and it's just, incredibly life affirming. So, it was album of the year for me, um, back in 2021. Um, But yeah, all that said, I wasn't sure we would get a second album. Um, his existence as a musician seems so contained, at that time too, and like, yeah, just ingrained in this cathartic project that he had made. And I wasn't sure, because I think he originally made that record just to play it to his, family and friends. He wasn't even sure he was going to release it and things like that. And yeah, so based on all that, I wasn't sure if we would ever get like this sophomore record. Um, so yeah, I mean, when it was announced, I was initially hesitant, given how much I loved that first record. I knew my expectations were just going to be impossibly high, but as soon as I heard that lead single of The Sorrows with that, I have to leave, I'll never leave, like passage. And then like that wonderful Irish trad that kind of comes in as well. All that doubt just swept aside. For me, it was like, yeah, like lightning has struck once again with this one. It's just another breathtaking work of art. I think where that first album was all about grief and loss of this person that meant the world to him. On this record, he like broadens the scope to look at, the loss of innocence and culture, and he does it all through like this lens of like modern life in Dublin. And yeah, he's basically switched from that boy, recalling growing up in Ireland and living with his friends, and yeah, he's now presenting us with this, angry kind of person that's, seeing it what the city he grew up in has become, and how all the dreams that, he had and his friends have, they've all been lost to like soaring rent prices and poverty and, capitalism. And yeah, there's still that sense of mourning, just like there was in the first record. He's telling this story and it's all uh really personal to him, but um yeah, it's one of those where the feelings and the struggles that he's retelling, I think we mentioned this with the Bob Dylan record as well, like they're whole, highly relatable of the times, I think. And yeah, for me, it's just the way he tells those stories that are just absolutely captivating. Carving the Stone sets the scene perfectly. No Scheme, he kind of, which is the one that links back to the first record. He reflects really poetically on like his past life and the hollowness of social media. And then, the other one I've got to shout out is The Ox, which probably one of my songs of the year. It's this amazing story of like a rocky kind of personality in Dublin who it's yeah, he's basically the vehicle to that's used to drive home this message about male mental health struggles. And it's, I won't go too much into like the ins and outs of the story, but it's just again so beautifully crafted and written. And yeah, it's one of those where the climax of that story, the first time you hear it, it like just really knocks you off your feet. Um, Civic again is a reflection on like how he took his 20s for granted and now he's in his 30s, and he's kind of looking back favorably on his 20s. And then we get Mirror, which was another one of the singles, which is probably like the most outwardly aggressive and frustration fueled cut that we get on the record, where he basically takes aim at this like current wave of nationalism that we're seeing. And he just doesn't mince his words at all. That last line where it's like, these bit of fuckers will tell a man to hate is to love and then hang them out to dry as soon as they're done. Um, which, yeah, just certainly sticks with you again. The way he delivers it. I like how the song builds up until to him delivering that line. Um, so yeah, it's just this real journey of a record, and then he leaves it on this optimistic note with "I came back to see the Stonehead moved," which kind of leaves it with this note of, despite all the shit that's going on in Dublin and in like the world right now, he's just grateful to be alive and have what he has. And again, it's just one of those that I think we can all relate to that. And yeah, I won't go on anymore, but just absolutely blown away again by what David Balfe has created here. I came into it thinking, there's no way it will match the debut, but hopefully it'll be, a decent record for me. Um, but yeah, for me, it's just absolutely matched that first record. The more I listen to it, the more I love it just as much as that first album. So from yeah, just another essential listen, and no doubt, come the end of the year, probably once again in my top five. Just brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's the question mark is how do you follow up a debut like that? I mean, it's obviously one which made the shortlist for album of the decade so far. When we've done that with 5 to 9, and we'll see where it comes out of the wash on there. But yeah, it's I mean that first record was just throwing everything on the line, and so yeah, you could kind of see how it could have been just a one album wonder, really. It's and also just with the uh emotion, you know, cathartic nature of that one, and you know, does he want to get back out on the road and dredge it all up again because it's
Yeah.
it's so heavy, and yeah, so this for me is very much, self-titled sort of Mark II. It's similarly, what is it, nine tracks again, and so light on that front, but no sort of short tracks, and definitely similar ambience about yeah, as you say, some of the anger which is felt, and taking aim at social injustices, and sort of places being left behind, people being left behind, as you say, with the Ox, which definitely is one of the you know most interesting tracks on here with the storytelling. So yeah, I mean, for me, but it's it's yeah, like the debut again, but not quite as impactful because the debut was so impactful. And then, like I say, I don't think I could. It's almost impossible, I think, to surpass that as he is, basically, because of how much went into that, and what it meant. But it's not far off, I wouldn't say, in terms of an accomplishment on these 9 tracks. I mean, you mentioned No Scheme. That for me, plus No Quiet are my two favorite off here. No Quiet, there's this foreboding bass, light percussion, and a kind of depressing tale of a woman left alone after her parents go, and the brother makes a poor decision. It's really like heavy, affecting tale.
Mm.
So So yeah, it's one which, and probably similar to the debut as well, I need to be in the right space to listen to. It's not like, an easy listening album by any stretch. But I gotta say, I'm still kind of baffled that he's not more popular, really.
Mm,
Like, because that first album it's like seminal, and it seemed at the time, the main track was the one which was being played everywhere and stuff. And yet,
mm,
I look at there's been a little bit about this second album, but not nearly as much as I would think, and that it would be like, wow, he's come back to do this. So
mm,
definitely more deserving, I would say, of a wider audience, what he's doing, one of the most unique artists out there. And yeah, it's great that he has returned to the fold after potentially could have just left it there with such a
mm,
statement, as on the self-titled. So yeah, it's another fantastic achievement. Yeah, and I suppose it's just intriguing to know what might come next, and what kind of gap of time there might be and everything else. But this is one which definitely should be, um, you know, on people's listening lists for this year, and ad- is in the higher echelon of records I've listened to so far this year as well. So yeah, I think that's two thumbs up.